The History's Greatest Aircraft team are in rural Idaho with Tony Caldwell and Caleb and Jess. We are at a very remote airstrip. There's a lot of really interesting things here. This is where Tony has come to get something very special.
I'm in Caldwell, Idaho. I told the people at the airport that I leased the town to them. When I first heard where this cool airplane was from Caleb, you know, I said, "Where is it in Idaho?" And he says, "It's in Caldwell, Idaho." He goes, "I think that's a sign." This is a 1929 Lincoln Page PTW. So Lincoln wanted to get in the trainer business at the end of the 20s, and so they were already in business. And this was a company that was two different companies, the Lincoln company and the Page company, and they came together and they started building these trainers. And they built them with a few different motors. All in, they built 54 of these airplanes, but they only built 4 of them with this motor. And so this is the only one that's existing in the world today. Well, this engine's amazing. It's a Warner 125. So it's really early to mid 1920s technology, although it wasn't introduced to the market until 1928. What's really cool about it is they didn't know, you see these parts back here on the part of the cylinder.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to cast aluminum at right angles. They hadn't figured it out yet, so they had to use brass. And then the rocker springs are exposed like they were on an OX-5 motor from the First World War. So the 145 Warner, introduced a couple years later, this is all covered. There's no overhead oiling here, so you have to grease these every time you fly them. So it's known as a greaser. And the Warner 145, a little more powerful, survived in more numbers. It's a greaser also, but this is kind of a rare engine, which is part of what attracted me to this airplane. I think people that come to the museum will be able to see, you know, a development of technology from the 1920s, because in the early 20s, you could buy an OX-5, a Curtiss-Wright OX-5 motor, which is a water-cooled motor from the war, for $50, and so everybody was using them. And then they began to run out, and as they were running out, though, the radial engine, the technology got better and better and better, and the reliability got better and better. But this is one of the earlier examples of radials that were used on antique airplanes from the 20s. It's just really, really cool. This engine came on this airplane when it was delivered from the factory in 1929, which is also kind of unusual because 100 years later, often engines have been upgraded. So, for example, on many Wacos of the late 20s, they put the 125 on it, but today you'll see them all with 145s, 165 Warners, or even some other motor. So, not like say a collector car where numbers matching is a big deal. That's not a particularly big deal in antique aviation, but it is rare. This is serial number 250 Warner. So this is a Phelan propeller, and it's gorgeous. They don't make them anymore, but beautiful, beautiful propeller, new when this airplane was restored in about 2006, so about 19 years ago. I've got a couple of Phelan props. We got 30x5 wheels. A lot of antiques, the wheel size has been reduced to a more modern size, like 10 inches. To me, it ruins the overall look of the airplane. So part of the look of this airplane is that. But the other thing is they were big like this because they landed in farmers' fields. You know, barnstorming, or even back in the early 20s, they didn't have airports.
Yeah.
Or if they did have an airport, it was just a grass strip and lumps and bumps, and this just rolls right over. So anyway, it's really cool that it has those still with the airplane. The other thing that's kind of neat is this is an original speedometer.
I just love that. That's
you know, so you don't see that very often, but it's just kind of a little neat
understatement.
A little neat detail. Okay.
Is that literally is it on a spring or it's bending it
it's
or
on
what?
A spring, and the wind is just pushing it back, and so the pilot can look out there, and it's an approximation, right? I mean, the truth is, you fly a biplane by the seat of your pants, literally.
Yeah.
You feel the airplane, and you know when you're going too slow, and you speed up, or you. So this is just as a general guide, you know. But experienced pilots usually don't look at the speedometer. You fly the airplane by feel. That's the generator. So if you want to have any electrical, like a radio, there you go.
Wow.
So it doesn't have a modern generator or modern electrical system. This has got an electrical system that was designed in 1929.
Wow.
And that works.
How many volts is that? 24?
I'm sure it's 6.
Oh, 6 volt.
I'm sure it's 6.
Wow.
So notice on the back side of these wheels here, the lever for the brake. So what that's telling you is those are mechanical brakes, just like you'd have on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's the force of the pedal pushing from the pilot that's using, and those brakes don't work very well.
No, I can understand that.
So in a biplane, though, you don't really need brakes except to, maybe steer a little bit on the ground, or if the winds are really strong crosswinds, you use a little bit of brake to keep going straight. A lot of biplanes end up on their back with modern brakes. We've retrofitted biplanes with, with hydraulic brakes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a number of biplanes that are equipped that way, but you have to be very careful because you touch those brakes too much and you go pole vaulting down the runway.
Yeah.
So I actually think this is a great feature and an advantage here. They don't work very well, and you don't want them to. This plane was built as a trainer, so it was built to teach people how to fly.
Yeah.
And so it's not particularly, fast. It's not particularly maneuverable or aerobatic, although it will do aerobatics. It has a really unusual tail. One of the things that they had issues with is they were learning to build airplanes. Think about this. This is 29, so it's 16 years after Orville and Wilbur Wright, flew for the first time at Kitty Hawk. So they're really, they have aeronautical engineering and all that now at this period, but they're still learning a lot of things.
Yeah.
So one of the things they kept having issues with in the 1920s and even into the middle 30s was they would build an airplane, they'd go out and test fly it, they'd put it in a spin, and they couldn't get it out of the spin because the tail wasn't big enough or strong enough. So this design allows you to build a bigger rudder.
Yeah.
So if the rudder that you designed the plane with wasn't big enough, you could easily retrofit it. So it's a stepped rudder, and you see this on fleets, you see it on the Lincoln page, you see it on some other airplanes of that period. It wasn't at all unusual then, but it's a really neat and unusual feature to us today. We're in Idaho. It's a long way from Oklahoma. It's been a number of years since this airplane was actively flying. It's airworthy. It was last annualed a couple of years ago, but it's really too far for this, particularly given the age of the engine. So we're going to take it apart. We're going to put it in one of those trucks, and we're going to take it to Oklahoma, put it back together, clean it up, and fly it at the museum.
So taking it apart is going to take you like a week?
No, it's going to take about a day.
Oh, okay.
This is a pretty simple airplane. We got to take these wires off. We got to undo some bolts. 4 or 5 of us are going to have to lift these wings off. We'll get them in the truck. Can't wait to see how Caleb is going to organize the fuselage, but it'll all go in one big truck.
Spanners out now then? Spanners out?
Yep, and spanners out. Yeah.
Right. Tony, lovely to talk to you as ever. We'll stand back and watch.
Okay.
As far as I can go with my hand.
The weirdest thing, they've got absolutely everything stripped off the prop. They're banging away at it to try and get it out. I mean, it's all okay, everything's protected. Right now, why that prop will not come off is just a complete mystery.
Hey Jess, just put your hand on that prop in case it pops.
And there's a book, Jepson book,
Okay,
Jepson
Mike.
book, where the
everything you
documentation I used to see.
Plan C. I can pull the front plate and we can see if we can wiggle it off that way and just leave our hub on there.
Mystery solved now. They finally managed to leverage the prop off. It was absolutely jammed on there solid. They moved the prop out of the way, and when Caleb's gone to look down the inside of it, there's a piece of metal that's been sort of constructed as a shim.
Yeah, this is not supposed to be in there. Apparently they wanted it tighter than it felt.
That doesn't look like a factory part to me. That looks like it's had tin snips on it.
Oh no, it's factory.
Oh, is it?
No.
Wow, these boys really know what they're doing, and when they saw that, gosh, nobody was expecting that. Caleb and Jess didn't bring their tools with them because obviously we're flying. There was already 7 of us on board the aircraft, and if they brought their toolboxes, they're like, you know, hundreds of pounds in weight. So they presumed that the hangar where we were going would have some of the, so, you know, basic tools. Not totally the case. So they are at a bit of an impasse as they try to remove the engine of the aircraft. So the question is, can we take a whole aircraft to pieces using tools from Walmart? Stand by, we'll see. So $360 later, we've got tools, we've got clamps, we've got socket sets, we've got all sorts of things, screwdrivers, and also got a pair of step ladders that we needed. One of Walmart's little special offers there I managed to take advantage of. So I'm back on the way to the hangar to get this together, and let's see what the boys can do. Day 3, I think it is, of this History's Greatest Aircraft special. A race for the museum. Yesterday the prop and the engine came off. Today the guys are setting about taking the rest of the aircraft to pieces, putting it in the truck, and I guess they are leaving tonight. So interesting times to see how today goes.
So our problem is, you know, we think we have the upper and lower ailerons are slaved because there's a slave strut, but we've got a cable running from the front stick on a pulley system that drives the lower aileron, which would make sense, you know, because most of these airplanes were built with one aileron drives the other one. But the problem we have is that we have a whole other set of pulleys and cables up in that wing that are attached to that aileron. We don't know where they go. And so we got to figure that out before we take the wing off, because if we don't, then we're going to be standing here holding the wing, and eventually we can't hold it anymore, and then we've got a real problem. And so one theory now is that it runs in a big circle in both wings, that cable. That seems unlikely. Well, anyway, we got to figure this out. Wow. And we don't have any inspection panels on that end of the wing to, you know, if we had inspection panels cut into the fabric, we could pull those and look. Sure. But we don't have anything like that, so we're trying to figure it out from the edge of the wing to the fuselage.
So it's going from here to the pulley, and then from the pulley all the way to here, and connecting.
So the only way to get into those wings is in these visual ports, these inspection ports.
Right, which is, you could disconnect it from the aileron itself on top.
Okay.
You could pull the inspection panel.
But what we need is a mirror on a stick. Do you have one, you think?
To pull the inspection panel and look.
Yeah, we need to do that for sure. We can try to use a cell phone to see.
Right, no, that's a good call. Okay.
We've got cable arms on the top of the wings, which mean the wings take up more space in the trailer. So we went to plan B, and we're going to put 2 wings in each trailer. But it's been raining all day, and it's gotten pretty wet, and everybody's tired. And so the second top wing was difficult.
There you go. You got the wing, Jeff.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, I need to get the pins up.
Just the bottom wing, and then again we've got the horizontal stabilizer and the elevator, and we're just about ready to pull it off, I think.
The guys have managed to take the Lincoln Page apart, so it's come completely to pieces, and they've managed to pack it up and get it all in the back of the truck. They brought two trucks. That's because the engineers have got a hold of their own stuff to pick up. They've got the wings in one and the fuselage and the engine and empennage and all the rest of it in the other. So that is all packed up. The day is over amazingly. Everything packed up, everything done, and they've got it away. They've got it in these trucks. And brilliant work by Jess and Caleb and Tony and everybody else who helped, and Captain Mike. It's all packed up and it's on its way back to the Caldwell Collection at Mustang Field in El Reno, Oklahoma. Good job.